Welcome back to the Light Skinema podcast. This is episode 6. Today we're reviewing When Harry Met Sally and The Social Network. Two of my favorite all-time movies. They're in both of my favorites lists. I know Jathan loves The Social Network as well, but we're gonna just be getting into the stuff we like about them. We have a fun segment at the end, but of course, always we're just gonna talk about you know movies and just our lives about since the last podcast, which I think was we recorded on the 3rd of September. So
Wow.
Jathan, yeah, it's been a while. Um, Jathan, how's it been the past couple weeks? And just anything you want to talk about.
I've been super busy with school and everything, so movie watching is kind of slowed down, but
Yeah.
it's been it's been good out here. There is one thing I wanted to bring up, but
hmm
I was wondering if you wanted to dive into anything you've watched.
I'll quickly go through a couple things I just want to mention movie wise. So
Because
yeah,
what
the
I want to
last time.
talk about kind of branches off into what you're watching.
Okay. Um. Oh yeah. School. I mean, I've
Actually, I'll
been.
save that for later. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. Um. Movie wise, like we said, the last time we talked was September 3rd. I've pretty was it September? Yeah, September 3rd. So since then I've watched all the Nightmare on Elm Streets. I actually just posted a video on my TikTok today of my ranking of them. Uh, some of them are fun, some of them are pretty good, others not so much. And then just keep it brief. Other than that, just pretty much running through all of Paul Thomas Anderson's filmography because his new movie comes out next week. So rewatching a bunch of those and a few of them I haven't seen yet. So first time watches, but other than that, movie watching has been honestly kind of, I hate saying this, but it's been kind of a chore. This week I have been extremely busy at work. Um, Not like overwhelming work. My work is not hard, but just long hours. This is like our busy season, the fall season. And honestly, I've been super overwhelmed. Like I haven't been like sad or depressed, but I've just been sleeping awful. And I feel like I'm just,
Mm,
we were talking on the phone the other day how I'm just such a planner and I just have to like constantly be planning stuff and doing stuff. So I feel like I've been doing too much of that. Like the my homework that's been taking me a good amount of chunk this week to do, and then on top of that, movie watching, and then I'm trying to record my own TikTok videos while trying to edit ours and make good clips for ours. I know that this Saturday is Batman Day, so I plan on posting like 10 to 12 videos that day of Batman content because you know how much I love the character. So I'm looking forward to making those videos, but editing them and kind of coming up with the ideas is gonna suck. But I think after this week, I feel like I'll get a better reset on things, and I think maybe I need to dial it back a little bit on the movie watching, because I feel like
maybe.
as much as I love it, I feel like it's getting a little overwhelming right now, and it's more so overwhelming in the sense that I just set so much um stuff on my schedule to watch that when I don't watch it, it feels like I'm like failing at movie watching or whatever. But we'll see how the next few weeks are. I'm definitely drained. I won't lie. We're only in the middle of the week. We're recording this on Wednesday, and I think I've gotten about 13, 15 hours of sleep in the last 3 days. So it hasn't been great. But like I said, I'm not like sad or depressed or anything. Just super, super overwhelmed right now with a lot of stuff. But you know, this is a good thing that we're doing right now, just talking about movies. So I'll definitely relax for the next hour, 2 hours we're talking. So
Yeah.
I know that was kind of long winded, but yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say.
Um, yeah, I haven't been watching too much stuff. I did check out one movie that I forget which platform it was on, but a viewer did say they were excited for us to review this movie, and that
Yeah, I
is
think it was on our
Charlie
tick.
Bartlett. And I had no expectations going into it, but it was pretty fun. Like, I can't lie to you. I mean, it's a 2000s movie, and it like kind of leans heavily into that, and
Mhm.
it was really funny. Like, it was a character that doesn't get really written it about anymore, like these little goofballs that like these Ferris Buellers, these Charlie Bartletts, like that just kind of they are the character that doesn't change. I forget the exact term for it, but it's like the character that makes other people like influenced, and that is the arc of the movie. But it was really funny. Again, a high school movie, so that branches back to the last week's topic. But it was fun. I think RDJ. It was weird seeing him play like something more casual compared to like what he's been doing later in his career, especially when you look at the year. It's like there was such a weird period for his career up until he did Iron Man, which like really brought him back into the limelight. But it was fun, and I would recommend it if you need something to laugh about.
Yeah, I thought it was cool that somebody commented that on TikTok because obviously we're small and starting out, but it's cool that people are already kind of clearly engaging with our content in some form and giving us recommendations. So that's cool, and I'm glad you watch it because I did see that comment, but I wasn't able to get that in the schedule. But
Yeah, and please keep recommending more movies because I'm like, I have a huge watch list, but I don't even use it. Like, it's weird. I have that watch list for like movies I know I need to watch, but
you have too many bangers on there. You have too many absolute bangers on there.
when I talk to people and they're like, "You need to watch this movie," that's where I'm throwing those movies too. But I hate to say it, but I hardly ever get around to that. Mostly because I want to keep some surprises for myself. But
Mm.
don't take it personal. One thing I did want to mention before we get to our next segment
Yep.
is
Absolutely.
an announcement from a legendary filmmaker returning to a legendary franchise. And this is a franchise that almost made my worst franchises list, but it just scraped by, and that is Terminator. And James
Mm.
Cameron confirmed he is writing a new Terminator film. Any thoughts on that, Nick?
Yeah, I think I did see the news pop up. I didn't know how legit it was because I just saw it really quick on Twitter. I think it's good and bad. This is why I think if he's writing it, it's a positive. I don't know if he's directing it or not. I didn't read that far into it, but Terminator, like it's like peak, and then it just keeps going down as the franchise aged. And I recently just watched them all, like the last week August, so not even that long ago. Obviously, I'd seen one and two before, but I watched the rest of the franchise. So I mean, I will be there because I love Arnold and I love the Terminator a lot, and obviously James Cameron is fantastic, especially with the Terminator and Avatars. But I don't know, like we were saying last week about the Star Wars stuff. Like, am I excited for new Star Wars movies? Not really, but am I gonna be there? Yeah, and I
Mm.
mean, I'll judge it after I watch it. So that's how I feel about the Terminator. I think it is good that James Cameron has agreed to write it, but yeah, we'll see what more news comes out. I think this has a better chance of being horrible than good, but I'm willing to give it a shot. Obviously, but yeah, I did see that. I honestly kind of forgot about it though.
Like Nick said, Terminator is a franchise that has kind of like gone downhill, and it's kind of like take what you'll get from it at this point. But I'm leaning optimistic here. I think James Cameron's been on a run lately with films. I think I'm not a huge fan of the Avatar franchise, but I know it definitely has its fans, and they've been well received over the recent years. Doesn't Part 3 come out 2026 to
This
Avatar?
December,
Oh wow. So,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm very excited. The avatars have grown on me a lot. the last year, so I'm excited.
Yeah, and I'm just reading this tweet right now, and he says we're living in a science fiction age right now. So I think it's an interesting time to release a Terminator film, especially with like the advancements in AI
That's a yeah, that's a good yeah.
and just we live in a very transitional time right now. I feel like the 2020s have just been a weird decade in general. So I'm excited to see what he comes up with and if he wants to say anything contemporary or just not reinvent the wheel, but have something new to say.
I hope it integrates AI, and I hope it's something new to say. Because I think the main fault of the Terminators is that a lot of them are rinse and repeat, but just in a different way. Like sometimes John Connor is like older, and his mom is younger, and his mom's old. It's just like they do a lot of the same shit. I would like to see the AI stuff. What you said, I think that'd be really cool. And I want to quickly mention too, while we're on just the topic of stuff coming out, Matt Reeves has been, well, he was just at the red carpet of the Emmys the other day, and they've been asking him Batman questions. And I just saw today on Twitter that he said that it's 100% the Batman Part 2 is Elseworld. It's not going to be connected to the DCU. And he also said the villain for the movie, um, we haven't really seen them in a movie or live action yet. So that makes me extremely excited because a lot of the rumors are it's either going to be Hush, could potentially be Victor Strange, or what I'm really hoping for. I don't know how familiar you are, but they're big in some of the Batman comics. Is Batman, the Court of Owls, which is like a whole underbelly of Gotham that would I think would work perfectly for the Batman universe because I feel like obviously the first movie was about corruption a lot, and the Court of Owls just takes that to like another level.
I'm familiar and
Mhm.
I'm interested. I don't know too much. The public doesn't know too much yet about the film, but
Yeah.
it'll definitely be something I'll be watching day one, especially with how much I liked part one.
Hmm. Yeah. I'm I'm rocking our Pats right now. Twilight. But yeah, if I don't got much more to say, if you don't, we can move on.
Have you seen those? The Twilight?
Oh yeah, I watched them all the week heading into freshman year of college. So I don't know if that was a good or bad thing, but I watched them all. I don't mind them because I really like vampires and werewolves. I mean the acting in script is not great, but they're fun. I think the first one's solid, and I like trying to think, is it the second one or the third one? I think the second one is New Moon. I don't mind that one, but they're not bad. I think they get too much hate. Okay, so getting into the first movie of the episode, obviously we said we're going to be reviewing two, but we'll start with When Harry Met Sally. It's been one of my favorite movies for a while now. I actually discovered it through Letterbox. I would say probably around 2 years ago to this point. I know Jathan has had it in his watch list for a little bit. Obviously, he watched it for this. Um, I'm no stranger to saying how much I enjoy rom coms. This is probably my favorite, or tied in first for my favorite. It came out in 1989, directed by Rob Reiner. He's obviously a fantastic filmmaker. He made stuff like The Princess Bride, Misery, Stand By Me, which are all fantastic movies that I really, really enjoy. But I would say, as of today, right now, When Harry Met Sally is my favorite. I think I've seen it about 5 times now. I have it on a physical media copy of it. I just can't get enough of it. Um, yeah. Do you want to say anything first, Jathan, before we get into anything else, or? Right. Yeah. So it's starring Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal. They are Well, this movie goes through, I would say, I don't know the exact time span, but I would say it's around 2 decades. It starts with them in college meeting up. They're going kind of across country to New York, and they're kind of strangers, and they have just these few nights together in the beginning where they don't really like each other. Then they see each other maybe down the road in 5 years, where they start to become friends a little bit, and then they both get in relationships. They both leave those relationships, try to get together, get new relationships, and then try to end up together again. It's just this kind of 2 decade long spiral of, two people that clearly like each other and love each other honestly, but they're kind of scared to commit. And that's just the kind of quick overall synopsis of it. Um, I don't know if you have a specific question first. I know I have one that kind of just is an overall arching thing of it, but do you have anything specific you want to say first?
I just wanted to ask you, like, who you related to more between Harry and Sally.
Definitely Sally. Maybe as much as I don't want to admit, but definitely Sally. I think Harry, there's some things about him that I kind of agree with, and it's one of my questions that I'll ask in a little bit. But he is a little too, especially when he was younger. He's like how he talks about like how just he'll have like sex with somebody, then he'll want to like not want to talk to them again, run away from them, and how he's kind of just like he doesn't want to do the commitment. I mean, that couldn't be further from me. I don't really. I'm not a person that just like goes out with people frivolously or just date to date. Like, if I'm going to spend time with you, that means I actually want to commit to you. But Harry is very much not like that throughout most of this movie. And Sally, I feel like, is kind of the opposite. But I think, there's things about her too, how there's a thing that he says a lot. And this movie has a lot of great references to other movies, specifically Casablanca, how Harry always says, you're high maintenance, but you think you're low maintenance, or something along the lines of that. So that line
That part
really,
was funny.
yeah, I like that part a lot. So, I mean, between the two, I think definitely Sally. I would relate to more. Who do you think?
Who do I relate to more? I relate more to Harry. Not in the sense that I abandon people in the
Hmm.
middle of our relationship once I'm not fulfilled, but
Yeah, I was
more
gonna
in the
say you definitely
sense
don't do that.
more in the sense that like he speaks differently than other people would, so it's like they kind
Mm,
of have to adjust to him.
yeah.
And that like struck a chord personally because I don't know, I don't think too much about like my speech patterns or whatever, but I feel like the way I come across is very different than like other people who are just trying to like get their point across versus like I'm jumping from like one topic to the next within like 2 sentences, and you can see that in the scenes, especially at the start where Harry's like kind of just throwing all these like conundrums and hypotheticals at Sally, like, oh, a man and a woman can't be friends. Oh,
Hmm.
um, what else does he say? He's
He,
like,
he he says randomly when they're eating like dinner, and they're just talking about whatever they're talking about, like school or whatever. Then he's like, "You're very attractive." It's like he just threw that in there out of nowhere. So yeah, I see what you
mm-hmm,
mean. Yeah.
and yeah, it's like definitely an interesting aspect to him because it feels like he feels like a very real character. Like he doesn't feel like a trope or like a
Mm,
certain figure that is prevalent in films. I think he's very unique in that sense.
yeah, definitely. Um, I didn't have a lot of questions written down for this. But there was one in particular that I did want to ask that you kind of just mentioned that I feel like a lot of people talk about this in day-to-day life too, not just in this movie. But when Harry says men and women can't be friends, do you agree with that or do you not agree with that? I'm interested to see what you think.
I I disagree, and I think it's very circumstantial on how you meet the person. Like
Yeah.
I think there's people that like you grew up with, right? That
Hmm.
you wouldn't necessarily court in a relationship, not because you're not attracted to them or you don't find them attractive. It's just not how the relationship is. So I don't think you can really pin men and women's relationships with each other specifically on their sexual encounters and just like these heterosexual relationships, right? Like
Yep.
I think what he says is like very radical in the sense that he's trying to make a point in his statement. I think he knows in itself that it's not logical, but I think he says that to a degree where you have to like kind of jump the gun with someone, and that's what he kind of does with people. You saw how he makes a pass at Sally within like his first encounter meeting with people, you know.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
yeah, I couldn't disagree more, really.
Yeah. I'm gonna answer it, but I just want to mention this first. I like the part where Sally's at the airport with her. I don't think they ever get married, but her boyfriend Joe at the time, and she's like, "Joe, do you have any female friends or like woman friends?" And he's like, no. But if you want me to get some, I'll gladly get some or something like that." That moment just made me laugh. But yeah, my answer is, do I think men and women can be friends? Yeah, I think they can. I think, like you said, it's circumstantial. I think, like you said, the thing about growing up with people, yeah, I think that's easy. But I think, I don't know. I think if you're a single person and like, I'm gonna use myself for example. I'm a single guy. If I met a girl and she's single, and there's some level of attractiveness to it that we both have for each other, I don't think a friendship would probably work in that scenario. But let's say like we're both single and we both weren't attracted to each other at all. I think yeah, we could probably be friends. Or like I think people that are like in relationships or and then have friends outside of their sex, I think yeah, it could work. I just don't think it is. I get where Harry's coming from because at the time it seemed like, I mean, he was in a relationship when he did ask Sally that when they were in college, but it seemed like it was kind of like a whatever. It didn't seem serious. So I feel like he's just like, you know, just looking for anybody at that point in a certain degree. But I don't know. Like, do I have female friends that I consider true friends? No. So I guess that kind of agrees with Harry's point, but I don't think it's impossible, and it kind of I honestly don't like when people say that because it kind of I don't know, it just
I don't
gives me
like
a
putting
weird.
a label on relationships. I think they're too they're too like in depth for me to put a label on something. Like I could describe you as a friend, but
Hmm.
it wouldn't it wouldn't even begin to illustrate what kind of relationship we have. I mean, we do a podcast together. We watch movies together all the time. We hang out outside of that. We get
Hmm.
coffee. Like I've been talking to you since middle school. So to call you a
Yeah.
friend would kind of not do our relationship justice. And same with
Yeah.
other relationships I have in my life. You know, I might not be romantically involved with anyone right now, but I've had relationships where there is somewhat of an attractiveness there, but we're not fully pursuing each other. I'm not fully pursuing them, and they are
Hmm.
not fully pursuing me, but there's still some type of like flirtation there. So I don't think it's fair to like drop a label on something and say like you can only be this or you can only be that.
Yeah. Thank you. You just cleaned that up a lot nicer than I was saying. Yeah, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Um, sorry. Yeah, I that was like just one of the big questions that I had in my head. Um, but I just what this is kind of generic, but was there any was there a moment, sorry. Was there a moment where you were like you really were like I really enjoyed this film because you gave it a 4 out of 5, right? If I'm not wrong.
Correct. You can
And I
pull
feel
up my
like
rating.
mhm. I feel like you, to my knowledge, and I could be wrong. I could just be making an assumption. I feel like you're not the biggest rom-com guy, at least to my knowledge. So what made it a good film to you? Because obviously that's a pretty good score. What made you really kind of enjoy this one?
I get that label thrown around on me a lot. I'm not sure why. That I'm not a big rom com guy. I think.
I feel like just what you watch is, I mean, obviously you watch a wide range of stuff, but I feel like we've never had a discussion where you brought one up where you're like, oh, I really like this movie. I feel like I'm normally the one that's like, I
Mm-hmm.
love 10 Things I Hate About You. I like The Notebook.
I brought Mamma Mia up to you, but I'm a single guy. I'm not spam watching rom coms because that would be too depressing. But I like this movie because it is very real in the sense that the relationship, of course, almost all rom coms have this relationship that has its peaks and valleys. But I feel
Hmm.
like with When Harry Met Sally, you never really fully get that payoff until the very end, where they finally realize that they're made for each other, even though all signs to them have been pointing otherwise. So
Hmm.
I think that is very touching, honestly. I think it was ahead of its time, 1989, with the writing. I mean,
Yep.
it did not. I thought it was like a 2000s movie, but it's ahead of its time. I think it was very poignant in its message about people falling in love, and I enjoyed the stories. Like, there's segments in the film interweaved where you have these couples sitting down, and it makes you realize that it's about this relationship, but it's also about just connection. In my
Hmm.
opinion, that's how I looked at it, and it you should watch movies to make you feel something, and this movie really did that for me.
Yeah. I feel
I
like
know
because
this
I
is a
am.
classic for you, at least
Yeah.
now it is since you've discovered it. I mean,
Hmm.
you said this is a fall movie for you, right? So
Yeah. I definitely try to rewatch it in the fall as best I can. But I'll really watch it whenever. Um, I think because I am a single guy, that's why I like rom com so much. I feel like the maybe the depressiveness is kind of makes me enjoy it more. But I think what you said, how this film was pretty realistic, and obviously it has the classic kind of tropes of a rom com. But I feel like it is realistic because I feel like a lot of movies where couples come together, they fall in love very quickly, very easily. And this one, obviously, Harry and Sally span over almost 2 decades where they actually finally get together and finally like in the beginning, Sally's like revolted by Harry. She can't stand him when they're driving to New York and they're at the diner. She's like disgusted by him and she doesn't like his like kind of mentality about like female and male relationships. And then
I
even
like
as they
that
get
aspect because it made me. Sorry to interrupt you, but it made me
no, go
wonder
go.
what was coming next, and that was like some good suspense almost. Because I was like, okay, how do they become friends?
Yeah. And even when they start to become friends after they both break up with their long-term relationships, like if you remember when they meet at the bookstore again and Carrie Fisher's there and then they kind of go on like a day date where they're just like talking and walking, they start to become friends there and then like I feel like pretty quickly after they're back kind of on their carousel of not liking each other again because Harry starts to mention like how he's just going out and dating and sleeping with a lot of women, and Sally thinks that's a bad thing, and then Harry thinks it's a bad thing that Sally isn't going out and trying to find new people after she broke up with her boyfriend. So they just kind of just keep having this revolving door of just feelings towards each other, and I feel like that is very realistic. If anybody like I said, I'm no relationship expert, man. I so I'm not gonna sit here and act like I know everything, but I would say from my own personal experience, it's very much a revolving door of how you look at the person, um, especially if you've known them for a long time, like Harry and Sally. By the end of this movie, they'd known each other for like 2 decades. So I feel like it's very realistic and very clear that Rob Reiner was like, hey, I'm not just gonna make this your classic rom com. I'm gonna have them go through ebbs and flows of liking each other, which I really enjoy that aspect.
Yeah, and there's one point that like, okay, I watched. This is gonna get a little off topic, but I
Fine,
watched
it's totally fine.
Licorice Pizza before I saw this movie. Okay,
Hmm.
and I was not a fan of Licorice Pizza. And honestly, after watching this, it probably made me hate it more. Because there's a scene at the end of When Harry Met Sally where they're both like kind of running, and Harry's off in a random part of New York, and he's running over to where Sally is, and Licorice Pizza paid homage to that exact like action set piece, and I don't know, it just made me pissed off because there's there's a gag in Family Guy, right, where Peter Griffin and the whole Griffin family is like in this room where like there's rising water and they're about to drown. So this is a joke from Seth MacFarlane about his film class and why his professor hated the sound of music. And he said it insists upon itself. And that is exactly how I felt about Licorice Pizza. Because it felt like he was trying to make When Harry Met Sally, but it just kept insisting on itself. At least to me.
I can
So
see it. I can see it.
that that was my only Paul Thomas Anderson movie I've seen, so I feel like I have a bad taste in my mouth, but
Yeah.
I don't know if you caught on to that when you rewatched this, but
Honestly, no, because I've seen Licorice Pizza once. I am actually gonna rewatch it at the end of this week because next week his new film comes out. But I'll look out for that. But no, I didn't catch it. But I that is a good point because I feel like how you said some movies just like insist on themselves. I feel like yeah, I could see that, especially from Licorice Pizza. I think I liked it a little bit more than you, but I can see that point of view for sure.
and that isn't
Uh,
even like something that usually pisses me off with movies when they pay homage to another movie. Like I know Kill Bill does that a lot and just a lot of Tarantino films in general, but it just really was like icing on the cake for Licorice Pizza for me because it felt like it was trying to do something, but it just wasn't baked enough. And then they threw that in there, and it was like, all right, like you're just begging me to give you brownie points at this point. But
mhm.
that 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 pissed me off, man. Like,
This is a little off topic from the movie, but in the same realm. Your review made me chuckle a little bit. You're like and now I have to sleep alone with a smiley face. So
mm-hmm.
obviously it left some type of emotional impression on you. Is there any other movies in the rom-com genre that have done that to you?
That gave me an emotional response.
Kind of how this one did.
Why don't you give me a second, and I'll get
Okay.
back to you on that.
I know the one that always does it for me, that kills me every time is 10 Things I Hate About You. I know I mentioned that when we did our high school movie ranking. That one always gets me. Especially at the end with what's Julia Stiles at the end when she's reading her poem to why am I blanking this so bad on to Heath Ledger. Um that scene always kills me because she just pretty much expresses all the kind of disdain she has for I think his character name is Patrick in the moment, but how much she loves him and how much he kind of let her down in the final moments of the film. So that always gets me. And the one that always gets me too, and it's cliche. I don't care. Is The Notebook when Rachel McAdams and Ryan Gosling are fighting at the end of the movie, and he pretty much just like tells her like, "What do you want? Like, stop saying all these things like, what do your parents want? What does he want? Like, what do you want? Do you want to be with him or do you want to be with me?" I know it's cliche, but that those
Mm-hmm.
moments always they kill me. I can't sit here and lie to you. They kill me every time. But that's what good movies can do for people. So I'm not ashamed to admit it.
This didn't make me bawl my eyes out, but at the end of 500 Days of Summer, when
Mm,
what's his name, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character is just wrecked. Like, I'm not. I really don't want to be cliche with this, but every young man has dealt with that at some point, and
absolutely,
it's pathetic.
absolutely.
It's worthless, but that like brought me to a dark place.
What's it? What is it called in Spider Verse? Uh, what do they say? It's like a
It's a canon event.
canon event. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. Yes, yeah,
It's
that's like a
destined to
canon.
happen.
Yeah, that's a canon event for every like young man. 100%. 100%. That I haven't watched that movie in a while. That movie yeah, that movie's kind of sad, but at the same time, JGL's character in it kind of is like not the best guy in the world either.
No,
He's kind of, but yeah, yeah. I should
but
rewatch that.
that's why relationships don't work, because you realize you're not meant for each other, maybe ever, maybe at that very time. So it's tragic, but so is life.
Yeah, and I think not to not to sound like a like an expert, like I know everything, and a lot of times too, it's guys don't pick up on certain things. I know I'm definitely at fault. I know I'm at fault for that. So yeah, maybe I think sometimes us guys have to get out of our heads a little bit. I think
I don't pick up on certain things in general, whether it be a romantic cue or someone letting me know I have the green light.
true, yeah. But yeah, I mean, if you have any other questions for Harry Met Sally, please shoot. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people watching this have probably seen it or at least heard of it. It's straightforward. There's no like kind of deep complex things. The only other thing I wanted to mention really quickly is I honestly love the film, the cinematography in this. I'm not exactly sure who shot it, but this film is kind of too good for a rom-com, if that makes any sense. Like you wouldn't expect it to be really good, and I'm just a big fan of films shot in New York, and this has some of the best kind of outdoor scenery shots in New York. And a lot of movies aren't really filmed in New York City anymore, so I appreciate that aspect of it a lot.
That's a good point. And I don't have too much to add here, but I was just kind of wondering, like, the next day after I watched this, if, like, Future, when he made the song Throwaway, if anyone is familiar, like, if he
I don't even think I
had.
know that song.
Yes, you do.
Throw Away.
Yeah.
Maybe if I heard it, I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Okay, but that's ridiculous. But
Sorry.
um, I wonder if he like watched this movie and then he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna write this song," because it kind of deals with being in love and then you realize like someone else is involved and it's like, damn, like just go mess with that other dude because I know you're gonna be thinking about me when you're messing with him.
Future's just that guy is crazy. But you know me, my music knowledge and intake nowadays is bad. I'm unk when it comes to music.
Well, that's about all I had to say. I mean, I thought it was a good movie. I told you this on the phone call, but this is a movie that I will watch once and once only
Oh
because,
yeah, yeah,
well, maybe if someone comes into my life and they demand I see it, but
yeah. No, I need it. I
touchy
always need that.
territory.
Yeah, I always need a good cry once in a while, and this film definitely brings it. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you, but yeah, that's all I get when Harry Met Sally. Like I said, if you haven't seen it, I really do recommend it. I know a lot of movies that we do watch on here, we say we recommend, but I think this one's really fun, and I think you can watch it with anybody. You can watch it alone, with your friends, with your significant other. I think it's a good family movie too. I think the comedy is really underrated in this. It's really funny. Billy Crystal is hilarious. I love him. Um, he's like my childhood voice, Mike Wazowski. So he's absolutely my man.
I
Um,
know a ton of
but
people were like, I couldn't stop hearing him.
the first time I watched this, I was like, that's just Mike Wazowski. I'm like, this is what he did before he got to whatever their Monsters Incorporated. But yeah, that's it on When Harry Met Sally.
You
But
mean
like we
Monsters
said,
Inc.
oh yeah, but the
But
isn't
who
the
says
actual
Monsters Incorporated?
no, but
If you
that's the
said
actual.
Monsters Incorporated, I would think you're talking about a different movie.
I know the movie's called Monsters Inc., but they're the
I've never
company.
heard anyone say
Can you
Monsters
can you let me
Incorporated.
explain for a
My
second? Can
bad.
you
My
please let me
bad.
explain? I know the movie's called Monsters Inc. the company and building they work at is called Monsters Incorporated, but in the movie they fully say it. They don't abbreviate it. That's why I said it.
No, they do
But
not.
do I have to pull it up on stream of them saying it?
Yeah, please
Okay.
enlighten me.
Okay. So I'm gonna pull up right
Welcome to
now.
Monsters Incorporated.
They say that. I swear. I don't even
How do
know
you know this?
because I just watched the movie like a fucking month ago, and I grew up on this movie. Like, let's see. Can you hear it or no?
Oh, I can hear it.
Okay. Let me skip ahead. Where I know he says it. He says it. I don't know. If I find it I'm gonna come back to it.
Oh, I believe you.
Yes, I would never call the movie that, but they say it in it. I swear, they say it in it. I
Someone
promise you.
drop a comment.
Yeah, I promise. But yeah, okay. That's it on that. But that was a good break. That made me laugh. I really love that movie. I really do. Okay, but next, which I'm very excited for this, and you recommended this to add this onto the episode, and I mean, I'm sure we're gonna go into a bunch of different topics and lanes for this movie, but this is like when I think of a perfect movie, this is what I think of. What I'm talking about is The Social Network from 2010 by David Fincher. This has been a film that has been part of my life way before Letterboxd, way before like my quote unquote film journey that I've started in the past 2 years. I have been watching this maybe since I was 14, 15 for a while. And I mean, every time I watch it, it feels like the first time. And I feel like it's very hard for movies to do that. But it literally has everything I want in a film. I always mention it. I'm an actor's first guy. The acting across the board here is great. Even the people that make small little cameos are great. David Fincher is one of my favorite filmmakers. He directed this movie to perfection, and I'm gonna get into a little bit of that later. The cinematography is great. The script is great. Aaron Sorkin, he won the Oscar for this. I think it's like a near perfect script. I don't even know how somebody could come up with the concept of this, with how the movie is structured. This won Best Editing as well, which I think this movie, in my opinion, even without the award, is one of the best edited movies ever. And it has just, I feel like this was a movie when I was young. If I didn't like it, I feel like I wouldn't have fallen in love with films the way I am now because this movie is literally just people talking. There's no action set piece. There's no um, first act, second act, third act linear structure. It jumps around different time periods. So I feel like the fact that I was so engaged with this when I was really young, 14, 15, and then been watching it up until I probably watched it. When's the last time I watched it? Last month, maybe 2 months ago. Um, 2 month, last month was the last time I watched it. I just can't get enough of it. I know that was a little ramble, but yeah, I love this movie.
Who has your favorite performance in this movie? Because I feel like there's a clear answer and then there's a more subtle answer that doesn't really get touched upon. And I'm just curious what you think.
This is tough for me, but I will give you one answer. Before I say though, I do really think, and I'm not just saying this to like boost up the movie. I think everybody in this is like exceptional. Even the people that have quick, um, just cameos, I think they're great. But I think David Fincher is known for being a very tough director, but I feel like he pulled a lot out of people here, and they're just. I think this is I think this is Eisenberg's best performance. I think it's probably Andrew Garfield's second to best performance. Army Hammer, I think it's his best, but my favorite, I gotta be honest, is Andrew Garfield. Personally, I think his character Eduardo Saverin is like a true friend up until he literally couldn't be a friend anymore, and I feel like I could relate to him in some sense. Not, I mean, these guys go to Harvard and they're very smart, not in that sense, but I feel like he's a really ride or die friend until you do something horrible to him. And obviously, I don't want to get into the plots too, yet, but I'm sure a lot of people have seen this anyway. But he eventually had his breaking point, and he's no longer friends with Jesse Eisenberg's character, which is obviously Mark Zuckerberg. But I think Andrew Garfield's fantastic. I think he has my favorite quotes in this movie, which this movie is just full of some of my favorite quotes. But I would say Garfield's my favorite. Who's your favorite? Because I know you have a strong opinion about one of these actors, so I'm interested to see what you think.
That's kind of the answer I thought you were gonna go for, and that's not a bad thing. But he Garfield absolutely deserves his flowers here, and he's a great actor. But my personal favorite performance here is from Eisenberg, and it's because even though he's the main character here, it it just feels like he isn't a protagonist, Mark Zuckerberg, that like really gets touched upon too much, and he like kind of starts out innocent, sort of, because he they do illustrate this in the first scene of how he can be kind of an asshole, but he's just very two-faced in the sense that once he launches Facebook, he kind of like gets this sense of greed that takes control of him, and it really becomes his main personality, just developing Facebook versus when he was just a kid in college who was riding a high horse and was drunk and pissed off, and he made a huge blog post about this one girl. But
Hmm.
I think Eisenberg delivers this like two-faced persona to perfection, in the sense that he knows he is smart, but he's way in over his own head in how he treats other people, and how he views the people working in Facebook as just people who are kind of in service to him. And he had a really interesting performance. And once, because this film it dives back and forth between time.
Hmm.
It goes between developing Facebook and this lawsuit between Garfield's character and Eisenberg's character, but you can sense like he's a much different person in the future, but he still is very fickle around people, and he just feels like he has not holier than thou, but like, why are you wasting my time?
Yeah. I think Jesse Eisenberg depicted Mark Zuckerberg well. I do know that Mark Zuckerberg has, I mean, a long time ago now because this movie came out 15 years ago. But he said he Mark Zuckerberg is kind of known for complaining about this movie that, he didn't create Facebook because he was trying to like get the girl that he never got or impress the girls. Because I think his wife, he actually met her in college when he first got to college, so he's been with her for a while. But I think he can't deny, and I think it would probably be embarrassing if he denied. I feel like once Mark starts getting that notoriety and power and fame, it's just like kind of no looking back, and he's not really concerned about the feelings of others or his friends anymore. It's just like he knows now he can be one of the most important people in the world, the most innovative, inventive people in the world, and it's like, okay, I don't care if I burn these bridges anymore. It's like I need to keep going and going and going and going. And he
He gets
doesn't. I
this
mean,
tunnel vision.
yeah, he doesn't even treat Eduardo Saverin, Andrew Garfield's character, like a human being anymore. Towards the end of the movie, I mean, I don't want to jump to the end already because there's some other stuff I want to talk about. But he becomes like autonomous. He doesn't even care about emotions anymore, which is just like I think, like I said, they probably played some stuff up for this movie to obviously it's a movie, but I think it doesn't seem like it's far off from somebody, not even just Mark Zuckerberg, but somebody in a position of power like this at such a young age. Of course, they're going to become very unconcerned about other people's feelings. They're just going to care about what's at hand, which is obviously creating a $1 billion company.
But yeah, it's really powerful because you see the deterioration of a friendship, but also the start of something so big that is going to change the world forever, and how we treat social interaction and how we connect with others. I mean, we probably wouldn't be here right now having this call if it wasn't for Facebook. So
Yeah.
it's it's a big movie. Um, I think it's a perfect like back to school movie because again, college, and it's just it's beautiful witnessing what Fincher does here with all these actors, and like I can't really too go I can't really go too much into depth here about like the process of the movie, but I've seen clips, and Fincher's one of those directors where like everyone is on the same page about the characters. Everyone is on the same page about where the story is headed. So you really see that magic collide here, and everyone kind of understands the assignment, as the kids say.
Hmm. Yeah, I just there's some a few things I just want to bring up first. Just some fun things. Well, not but just kind of scattered thoughts. Sorry. I just want to start with Justin Timberlake. I know some people, in terms of acting, think he's not great, and I know some people, in terms of his music, don't really like him. I have always been a fan of him since I was very young. I used to listen to "Sexy Back" in my um, grandmother's kitchen, and we used to always like dance to it. So he's always been like just a famous person that I always knew and grew up with, and he's uh he's in Shrek 3, which I used to watch as a kid a lot too. So that movie's like embedded in who I am pretty much. But I think he's so good in this movie because he plays. Let me get his character's name because I Sean Parker. Yeah, he plays Sean Parker like perfectly. He is like just the most unconcerned asshole, power hungry, money hungry person in the world, and that is like takes no accountability for his actions. And I think my favorite, I mean, there's a lot of great scenes in this, but I think my favorite scene is when he meets Mark and Eduardo for the first time at the dinner, and how this movie, like I said, the editing, it goes from like real time moment to deposition to like the real time moment to deposition. So it cuts back and forth, and how he just is like they call it the Shaunathon. Like he's literally just talking about himself and all this stuff and all that, and they barely even talk about Facebook. But I love how he just like how he's just like so cocky, and he kind of leaves the dinner a little bit early, and he's like, drop the just Facebook, it's cleaner, like all that type of stuff. Like he thinks he's just like this super smart important guy when in act like all he really did was kind of light the fire under Mark's ass. Like that's all he really did. He didn't contribute anything to this, and that's why I feel like that's why people really feel bad for Eduardo, because he kind of Sean Parker just got his way in there, shoehorned his way in, and kind of blew the whole thing up to a certain degree. Obviously, Facebook became very successful, but he kind of ruined the dynamic of what it maybe could have been.
You mentioned this earlier when you said this is a film where people are kind of just talking,
Hmm.
and that's not a turnoff in any way. You said your favorite scene was just that with Sean
Hmm.
Parker, kind of like his introduction and how he thinks he's like this god, but really he's just
Yeah.
another voice for Mark to listen to.
Yep.
But I think this isn't my favorite scene, but I watched this movie reading the screenplay because one,
Hmm.
it's a great screenplay, and
Yeah.
you notice a lot more things when you watch and read the screenplay at the same time. But I really enjoy when he's first creating Facebook in that dorm room, and he's kind of monologuing at the same time while he's doing all this coding, and it kind of like gives you just this perfect preview into what kind of character Mark Zuckerberg is, and this interpretation of him,
Hmm.
and it's just some really cool and subtle stuff with like the dialogue he does at the same time as like you see uh Garfield's character is rushing this fraternity, and again there's a lot going on, but the screenplay is great, and that opening scene once he gets back from the bar is great, and it kind of just sucked me in because you just see someone at work creating this piece that you know is going to define a generation, and it did, and it could define our lifetime really with how technology is progressing and how social media is kind of taking over.
Yeah, it definitely has impacted our generation for sure. And like there's just like I said, there's I think the Sean Parker scene is my favorite scene, but there's so many stuff I love here, like and how I said there's so many actors that come in for only a few scenes that are great. Like I love the opening with Rooney Mara and Jesse Eisenberg when they're at the bar. That back and forth dynamic they have is awesome. And you know how they're both like Mark is saying two things at once, and Rooney Mara, who plays his girlfriend at the time, what's her name in the movie? Erica. How she's like she's trying to be nice to him, but she knows that this guy is just like just not right in the head, and he's like he just thinks about too much. And then I just love how it like that whole bar dynamic is just great. I love the way it's shot. I love the stuff with Army Hammer playing the Winklevoss twins and the I'm trying to Divian Arenro, who is the friend of the Winklevosses. Their scenes are really good together too. Like I love when I think they had a rowing competition in England, like Cambridge or something. Not Cambridge, Massachusetts, but in the UK. And they have that moment when they're like, I think they're like in a different room after they were like celebrating the race. And they were talking about like how they're gentlemen at Harvard and you're not supposed to like complain or sue people or like make big press about it. But they finally just like hunker down and they're like, no, I think they say this verbatim, like, let's gut the freaking nerd or whatever. And I think their dynamics is really funny and fun because you know I think it's up to debate. I don't think Mark really sold their idea. Obviously, they had a type of social media idea, but Mark was already kind of working on the Facebook in a way already, and obviously, he didn't need any of their help. The only thing those guys were providing were kind of power and money, which Mark didn't have. Um, so I think that whole dynamic is really funny, and I think obviously the deposition between Eduardo and Mark is really sad because they were friends at a point and they were really close, which it's sad to see that unfold. But I think the deposition between Mark and the Winklevosses is hilarious. I love he's so disrespectful to their attorney. I think you put it in oh no, remember when we were texting about this movie and we were sending each other like little memes about it?
Yeah.
I think you sent the one where like you were saying you have part of my attention, like you don't have the full amount. That's what Mark does in the whole Winklevoss deposition. Like he hates them. He can't.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he says he doesn't hate them. He just can't stand them, and he can't stand that he has to even do this
That was probably
deposition with
my
them.
favorite scene.
Yeah, that scene. He's like, Mark, do you think I deserve your full attention? He's like, no. He's like, my mind is
You have
back
the
on the.
minimum amount of attention that you command from me.
Yeah.
And again, it just leads into kind of what he like feels like. He feels like everything outside of developing Facebook is just not important, and it really doesn't concern him because he knows he's about to be up there on Mount Rushmore. So
hmm
just a
Rashida
great
Jones'
this.
character. Oh,
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Rashida Jones' character literally says it. Her character name is Marilyn Delpy, who is like she sits in for the depositions, and she's like, "You're not gonna take lunch," like all this stuff. He like this dude is so zeroed in on Facebook. Like any moment they're not talking in the deposition, he's on back on the computer, um, still trying to make Facebook better and all that. And the time of the depositions too, because like we said, it jumps over different time periods. The depositions is like after Facebook has already made hundreds of millions of dollars with, and it has over 100 million users, so it's already very successful. But Mark is still trying to improve it and you know be innovative, which I think is he does have a lot of character flaws, but I think in that aspect is really interesting because obviously to that point the dude already made it, but he's still trying to improve, which I think is honestly a kind of admirable trait to have.
You ever hear the saying that there's no such thing as an ethical billionaire?
I think so. Yeah.
That is pretty much to summarize this whole movie.
Yeah. And I
What'd
just
you think of the ending where he sends Erica Albright that friend request and he's just sitting there refreshing?
I think I have two answers in terms of like accurate to Mark Zuckerberg. I don't think it is because, like I said, I think Mark Zuckerberg has been with his wife for a long time. But I think in terms of relatability to just guys and men in general, I think yeah, it's very relatable because obviously he is probably the most famous person in the world or most richest person in the world at that time, but he's still thinking about um obviously I don't know if it was his first girlfriend, but at least first college girlfriend. And it kind of contradicts the earlier scene in the film where Mark asks Sean Parker, he's like, "Do you still think about the girl that didn't go out with you and went with the guy on the lacrosse team?" And he's like, "No, like why would I think of her?" But obviously, Sean is like a piece of shit guy. But Mark, I think it shows Mark's humanity at the end of the day because obviously he's still thinking about her, he still cares about her, even with all this success and fame. But unlike Sean Parker, just trying to compare the two, Sean is like, why would I think about her or care about her anymore? Look, I have all this money and I have all these women. But I think it just shows that Mark still has, some type of moral compass. Obviously, it's not great, but I think it shows something.
I think that if you've ever seen The Grinch, it kind of like paints this picture where like he's a man in a lonely castle, in that he probably still reminisces about her. Maybe he reminisces about a time where he didn't have so many obligations when he was just a kid. But
Hmm.
I thought it was interesting because he goes beyond this point of no return probably by the hour mark of the film, and by the 2.5 hour mark point of the film he's supposed to be this completely unrelatable guy, this billionaire who traded friendships, um, destroyed other people's dreams. Again, the Winklevosses, they tried to make the Harvard connection, and I don't know. It just kind of sits with me because he is past the point of return, but he almost longs for humanity,
Hmm.
and it's this like, I'm not gonna crap on social media too much, but it's this like very superficial way of connecting with her after all he has said about her on the blog post, after, because he could have just apologized or he could have never talked to her again, but he wants to
Yep.
be friends with her even after his position as the owner of Facebook. So I don't have too much to add on, but it's just something that kind of sits with me after I watch a movie.
Yeah. Um, I was just gonna say the next couple things. That this is not like super in-depth serious things, but two kind of fun questions. It's two-parter. What is your favorite quote from the movie? Because I think this movie is very quotable, and you might have already answered this before. Sorry if you did. And do you remember the part in the movie where they're in one of the depositions and they're like, the Winklevoss's friend is talking about, how on Harvard campus at the time there was a lot of famous, popular people, and they say, yeah, and a movie star. Do you know what movie star they were talking about in that moment?
Natalie Portman.
Yep, correct. Yeah, yeah. I think that's interesting because I'm pretty sure when she went to Harvard, she had already made. I'm pretty sure she was in Heat by that point. She was in Leon the Professional by that point, and I think Star Wars one, well, like Episode one, and I'm pretty maybe number two as well. To the point where she went to Harvard, which I think is crazy. I think that's just a really cool, interesting little
Yeah,
Easter
I
egg, I guess.
forget how I found out about that, but that was a line that definitely stuck out to me when I first watched it. But
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite line or
Yeah, my favorite is easily. Let me. I have it on my letterbox, so I don't get it wrong. But it's Well, I like the what I said before. Drop the just Facebook is cleaner. That line's really fun. But it's when why don't I have it? Oh, here it is. Yeah, when Eduardo Savin, Andrew Garfield's character, just completely crashes out and snaps his laptop. It's like, sorry, my Prada's at the cleaners along with my hoodie, my fuck you flip flops, you pretentious douchebag. I think that's like the best crash out in all of movies, and it always makes me laugh every time.
yeah, I see that scene all the time on TikTok, but
I love it. I absolutely love it.
it's a great movie. Fincher has made some classics. Seven is in your top four.
Mhm.
Um, what
Social
else
Network's
has he
right at
made?
number 6.
Yeah, you have 5 through 10 mapped out.
Yeah, I have it on Letterbox. That's a topic for another day, but for what else he's made, obviously Fight Club is probably his most popular film in terms of just like at the time when it came out, it was like nothing had ever been made like that. And I feel like everybody has seen that. A lot of people know the twist of that. Gone Girl, which I think have you've seen it, right? Or no?
I need to see Gone Girl because Ben Affleck is in it.
Yeah,
And
I definitely like it. Zodiac, which I really have to rewatch. I think I'll like it much more. The Killer from 2023, which was my second favorite movie of that year, and I've seen it.
what did I rate that
Or
movie?
I'll look right now. I think you gave it some. You gave it a 4.
Okay,
I think you've only seen it the one time though,
I think
and I
it's
think
fine.
yeah, you said very well made, cold blooded, very calculated. Yeah, I mean I love it. It's my third favorite Fincher. So, 7-1 Social Network, then The Killer. Um, Benjamin Button I haven't seen yet, but I'm excited to see that. Mank I haven't seen yet. I hear mixed things about it, but two of my favorite actors are in it. Two of some of my favorites, so I think I'll like it.
Is
Um,
that Alien I see on the right?
yeah, he did Alien 3, which is not good. This was
Okay.
his first. This was his first feature film. I'm pretty sure he was a music video director. If I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he. This was his first feature, and I mean, it's not awful, but it's definitely not good. His second movie though was Seven, which I think is that's like a massive upgrade. Um, the girl with the dragon tattoo is solid. I think Rooney Mara, who is in Social Network, she's the best part of the girl with the dragon tattoo. But that's a really tough movie to watch. I don't recommend that movie to everybody because I did not know what I was getting myself into. The game is solid. I think uh, I think you would like the game if you watched it. It has Michael Douglas and Sean Penn. I've seen it one time, but I do have to rewatch. I think I'll like it even more. And Panic Room with Kristen Stewart. Who look another reference. I have her on my shirt. And yeah, why can't I think of her name? Um, Jodie Foster. Panic Room is like a classic, just like kind of thriller movie, but it's fun. But David Fincher, I would say, is he's probably my second favorite director, 2 or 3 for sure. And he has the Cliff Booth movie coming out probably sometime next year. So he there's a lot of these movies I pulled up are just some of my favorites, and I rewatch them a lot.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I asked Nick this question.
Oh, before I didn't know you moved on. I just want to mention real quick. I'm pretty sure they just put into production The Social Network too. What are your feelings about that? Because I have a very strong opinion about it.
Is Fincher
No,
working on it?
no. Aaron Sorkin is directing it, and I think he's writing it. He wrote The Social Network, so I'm sure it's gonna have a similar feel. But David Fincher's not involved. But Aaron Sorkin, who wrote The Social Network, is directing part. I guess the second one.
I guess I just don't really know where it would go. But Aaron Sorkin's a very talented writer. I haven't. has he directed a film before?
I will pull that up right now. I'm actually not sure of that. I know he's written a lot. Uh, right. Oh, actually, he hasn't written too much. He's written Moneyball, Steve Jobs, Few Good Men, The Trial of Chicago 7. I know a lot of people like that. I haven't seen that yet, but let's look at director. Okay, he
Oh,
did.
he did direct Trial of Chicago 7 and Molly's Game.
Yeah, people like Molly's Game and what being the Ricardos. I know that got a lot of Oscar buzz when that came out. Well, it did get nominated for Oscars, so yeah, I mean, he's a critically acclaimed guy, so
Yeah, he's
I think that
accomplished, so
yeah.
it doesn't make me turn my nose up too much, but I think it's not really necessary, and I'm the kind of guy who'd just rather see something more original, but
Hmm.
this is something that I think is it confirmed who the cast will be?
I don't know if it's confirmed. I think it's rumored, but I will say I think the plan for the movie is the lawsuit that Mark Zuckerberg went through recently, like within the last 3 years or whatever. So it's gonna be recent. It's not gonna be like a direct sequel. But I think as of right now, the rumored cast is Jeremy Strong, who's most notably I would say like Succession or whatever. Mikey Madsen, who just won for a Noir. I know you like that movie a lot. And Jeremy Allen White, who obviously The Bear, uh, Iron Claw, um, that other show he was in when he was young, I forget. So I mean, the cast is good. I'll be watching, but I this is one of the things where I don't want movies I love like this to get sequels. If I'm being honest, I know it's not going to be a direct sequel, but it's loosely based off it, and I don't want that. And it's kind of the same thing that's happening with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood right now, because they're making the Cliff Booth movie. I mean, I don't really want to revisit that world. What what Tarantino did with the
They said
with
Fincher was going to direct part 2 to that though, so I feel like it's in safe hands.
well, and I mean, Tarantino wrote the Cliff Booth movie too, so it's obviously yeah, you have great guys working on it, but I don't really want stuff like that though. I just don't.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
understand.
yeah, like perfect movies. Like well, to me they're perfect. That obviously teach your own, but I don't really want stuff like that touched. If that makes any type of like, I follow on Reddit. I follow the Tenet Reddit subreddit, and there's people that post on that still to this day about how I want it. It will never happen, but they're like, I want a Tenet 2 sequel, which I'm like, just let movies. That's the thing I love about movies is there's a beginning and there's a resolution to pretty much all of them. Not I mean not stuff that's like in series like Marvel movies or something like that. Like those obviously lead up to other stuff, but movies that are just singular, just let them lie. Like I'd never want like a I don't well they kind of already did this, so this is a bad example, but like The Shining. That should have never been touched again, but they have Doctor Sleep, which is like the sequel. And I think Doctor Sleep
But that was
sucks.
a
Like I don't
book written after
it
anyway.
true, which it's a bad example, but stuff like I just don't want that to happen. I don't want a 7 part 2. I don't want to see what happened to Detective Mills 20 years later when his spoiler when after his wife died. How is he 20 years later? Is he still a police officer or did he like I don't want that. I don't give a fuck. I don't want that. I like leaving it up to the imagination.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And that was a little bit of a rant. Sorry, but yeah.
It's all in good fun, but
Yeah. I mean, you can go to the next thing. Sorry for the
no,
interruption, but
you're good. But I asked Nick, because I like doing these little segments where we kind of give our own list, but I asked him who our favorite movie duos are,
hmm
and I know you said you're wrapping yours up, but I
I
don't know
did
if you
finish.
wanted to
But do you
go.
want to? I actually, if you could go first, I wouldn't mind unless you don't have them. But um, I wanted to
I got
mention
them right here.
um, these aren't duos. Like at first, I thought you meant like Batman Robin, but you said you wanted to do strictly movie character, which I think that's what you said. And It's not like like Leo and Brad Pitt. It's like actual characters. It's not like the actors, which I think that's what you meant, right?
Yeah, but I honestly didn't think too hard about this. So I do have two picks here that lean more towards the actor side than the characters, but I think
Okay,
it's I think it's just all in good fun. But
that's fine. Yeah, it's not a big. Yeah, I just went strictly characters, but yeah, you go. You rifle yours. I'm interested to hear what you picked.
in no particular order, and this isn't subjective, so don't kill me. But number five, I have Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor in Stir Crazy, and I know this isn't a film you haven't seen, but you did see my review for it. But it's really
Hmm.
funny. Just ridiculous the situations they get into, and I want to check out more.
Hmm. I
And
gotta watch movies with them because they have a few movies together. I think they have like five or like something like that.
number four, I have Jeff and Lisa in Rear Window,
I did.
aka
That's
James Stewart and what's her
Grace Kelly.
name? Grace Kelly, the legend.
I didn't even remember that those were their character names. Jeff and Lisa. That's their character's name.
Yeah,
I would have thought something totally different. I didn't even remember that.
but yeah, it's another example of a film where it's just people talking. Of course, there's action, but
Mhm.
I really was invested in their relationship, especially when James Stewart's character is like kind of not a Grinch, but he's just kind of grumpy because of his situation. So I didn't really see how someone could fall in love with him, but I really enjoyed their dynamic.
That's like one of the
And
best like single setting movies.
absolutely, I need to watch it again. Number three, I have Marty McFly and Doc Brown, and I feel like everyone's seen Back to the Future, but
Mm.
just iconic, and I love what they do for each other's lives, especially with part three, which I know is kind of divisive, but it really
I
just
love
like
it.
it pays full circle to part one because it's about Doc trying to help Marty's life, and at the end, it's Marty trying to help Doc's life. So I loved it. Um, Number two, I have Ed Norton and Brad Pitt in Fight Club. And I use the actors' names because Ed Norton's character doesn't really have a name in that film. But their dynamic is interesting. And I everyone's kind of seen this film, but one scene I want to bring up in particular was the scene where and I saw you had your finger raised, but it's when they are outside of this bar, and it's when they get the idea for the Fight Club. And I don't remember the dialogue exactly, but I saw something that was like Fincher or like whoever wrote that film, like put an exact like conversation they heard, like basically word for word into that scene, and it's like kind of crazy how well it works.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you wanted to add to that or what you wanted to say.
I was just gonna be a know-it-all pest, but I mean Edward Norton's character's name is it is Tyler Durden technically, but they just don't say that to him.
Well, Letterboxd has him as the narrator.
I know, but that's to not reveal twist of the movie.
Well, my interpretation was Tyler Durden was a persona, so it didn't necessarily mean that was his actual name, but it was
I
just
think it
who
is.
Brad Pitt's character was. But regardless, number one,
Yeah.
I have Sean and Marlon Wayans from White Chicks. And would you consider White Chicks a rom com? Probably not. But
I mean, it could probably fall in the category, but that's not what I think when I think of rom-com. I think that more of a comedy than the combining the two genres.
that duo is hilarious for the sheer fact that, like, most of the movie is people roasting each other, and like those two, like, is just Kobe and Shaq when it comes to tearing your ass apart.
Yeah, that I mean that's probably I think yeah, that's one of the best. And I think just because they're brothers too, so that only heightened
The chemistry.
how yeah, how good they are in the movie. Yeah, well,
But
no, go
that
ahead.
was my list. I don't really know what to expect from yours.
Yeah, mine, I tried to steer away from maybe the traditional answers. I just pretty much went on my favorites list on Letterbox and just looked at all the movies and just looked at the duos. I didn't put this in order. This is just kind of five sets of duos. The first one I'll start with is the protagonist and Neil, which is Tenet. John Dave Washington is the protagonist. Neil is Robert Pattinson, and they're just awesome in it. I mean, I don't really want to go into too depth because I feel like I talk about Tenet every other day. But yeah, their chemistry is awesome in it. I love them both. Some of my favorite movie characters ever, honestly. This next one, you might think I'm weird. I absolutely love this duo, and it's kind of unconventional. Um, is from Life of Pi, Pi and Richard Parker, who is the tiger. I think that story is awesome, fantastic. I watch Life of Pi every August, and I just think I mean that movie is a metaphor more than anything, and I think it just showcases that you know, especially in a time like this, that you don't have to agree with somebody, you don't have to fully respect somebody, but we have to coexist to some degree, and that's what Pi and Richard Parker the Tiger do. Like obviously, Richard Parker the Tiger is a apex predator. He could just tear him apart, but they come to some type of understanding and agreement together, obviously on the journey to survival. So I love that duo.
Richard Parker's the actor, right?
No, that's the name of the tiger. They give the tiger's name.
I don't remember that. I thought his name
I
was Pi.
no, I said Pi and Richard Parker. Pi is Pi is the Indian kid's name. They call the tiger Richard Parker.
I haven't seen this movie since like 2012. Okay.
I know. I'm just explaining. I don't know why you're getting upset. I'm just explaining.
You would just think that the guy's character is Richard Parker and the name of the tiger is Pi from like an outside point of view, but
I know, but the
continue.
first thing I said when I said both of them was Pi the boy, Richard Parker the tiger. Okay, moving on. Next, I have Mr. Fox and Kylie from Fantastic Mr. Fox. I think they're hilarious. They have Fantastic Mr. Fox is the movie that makes me laugh the most. They have so many funny scenes, like when Mr. Fox is trying to explain the plan to him, and he's just rocking back and forth in his chair. He's like, "Stop rocking! I'm recording this. Like I can hear it on the tape." And then they later on in the movie, they're trying to pick a lock of a door, and Kylie gives Mr. Fox his credit card, and he's like, "Titanium card? How the hell did you qualify for this?" And he's like, "What? I always had good credit." And it's like they just have this stupid back and forth banter. I think it's just hilarious. They're honestly like Batman and Robin. Like Kylie is like just his right hand man. Um, I think the next two are a little bit more conventional, just ones that I'm sure a lot of people love, but I couldn't not add them to the list. Is Detective Mills and Detective Somerset from Seven. Obviously, I think their relationship throughout the movie is really good because they start off so opposite and they both kind of hate each other to a degree because they couldn't be more different. Like Detective Mills is much more, um, you could say he has a silver tongue. Like he loves talking to people and like speaking his thoughts out loud, while Somerset is very monotone and he only speaks when he has to speak. So, but by the end of the film, they become pretty close. So, and then lastly, uh, I think more so just because I love seeing both these actors together more than anything, but is Cliff Booth and Rick Dalton from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I think Leo and Brad are so funny and great together in that movie. They do spend a lot of it apart from each other, honestly. So they don't have a ton of moments together, but like my favorite scene of them together is um, when Cliff Booth picks up Rick Dalton at the film set, and then they go to his house and they watch an episode of whatever show he's watching, and that's where the Leo meme comes from when he's like pointing at the screen. I love that scene. Yeah, that scene is great. So there, I mean, I
That was
couldn't
probably
not
my
add them.
number 6.
Cliff Booth and Rick Dalton. Yeah, they're great. I mean,
I need to
there's a.
revisit that movie.
I just want to mention some others just while I'm here. I mean, I wanted to put like Optimus Prime and Bumblebee, but that's basic. And I wanted to put like Ron and Harry, but it's like you can't have Ron and Harry without Hermione, and that's not a duo. So, but
Mario and Luigi.
yeah, another one I thought of that I almost added, but I just left off was Max from Mad Max and Furiosa, specifically the Charlize Theron
That's
Furiosa, and
ironic.
yeah, because they aren't too big fans of each other, but in the movie they work together great. They're great in the movie together. So yeah, that's about it. And yeah, that was I mean that duo question. I was like, at first I was like, I don't know if you mean like people that have worked together, like Marty and De Niro, or you mean like character duos. But yeah,
It definitely made me think too. And I feel like I missed like some really like not obvious ones, but ones I would agree with more, or like I would want personally on my list. But
yeah.
so
Oh, right now I'm looking at. Should have done Smoke and Stack from Sinners, but I guess I mean Michael B. Jordan
mm,
played both of them. I don't know if that would count. That might be cheating, but
fuck, that was a good one.
yeah.
See, but that's gonna about do it. I mean, I don't really have too much to go on here unless we want to talk about what we want to do next week.
No, I don't think there's any other movie new. What I will say, next. Well, actually, no. This week, this is the time of the year where I kind of love going to the theater because there's so many great releases coming out from like now till the end of the year, and this is where a lot of award winning or like award season movies start to actually release in theaters, not just at the film festivals. Because I know later this week, from tomorrow Thursday till Sunday, I'll be in the theater 4 times, and then next week I'm watching The Smashing Machine early at IMAX in Boston, and then I'm watching One Battle After Another on 70 millimeter print a day early at the Somerville Theater. So I'm really looking forward to those.
Yeah, I can't wait. I know I have to look at tickets for him because that's coming out.
I'm going tomorrow.
That's right.
Is that? I mean, we can kind of say it. I think that might be the plan for episode 7, right? Is
Yeah,
reviewing him, which
our
will
first like
be
contemporary one, right?
yeah, new release. I think that episode will come out probably maybe 10 days after its initial release, but I feel like that gives everybody a good time if you're watching our video to actually go see the movie so we don't spoil it for you. But yeah, I don't I mean, being honest, I don't think I'm gonna walk away from the movie saying it's like one of my all-time favorites, but I think there's a lot of cool elements that I'm excited for because obviously I played football my entire life. I love football. I know Jayton loves football as well, so I'm excited for that because I feel like um, there's not a lot of cool football movies coming out nowadays, but the whole horror element is what I'm more intrigued
Sports
by because
horror is such a weird, but like now that I think about it, it really could work, right?
it definitely could, but I could see it get a little much, which that's what I'm a touch worried about, but I'm still excited to see it. I don't even know any other movies that kind of tackle both those genres like that,
A
or at least
sports
in the
horror film.
yeah, at least in the way that him is doing it.
Let us know. in the
Yeah.
comments.
I'm
But
excited to see Marlon Wayans though. I feel like I haven't seen him in a new role in a while.
yeah, Monkey Paw Productions is one of my upcoming studios that people should pay more attention to. But that's about it for me.
Yeah. I'm I'm
I know
very tired.
it's what 12:40 over there. So
Yeah. Yeah. But
well,
yeah, I go for it.
I'll close up shop here since you're tired. Let us know what you're watching in September. Um, let us know anything we can improve on. Let us know anything we need to be watching based off of what you've heard about us.
Hmm.
Um, Letterboxd, of course, is going to be in the bottom right, as well as our YouTube and TikTok pages. Um, yeah, I need to get some sleep, so I'm sure Nick
Oh,
does
and
too.
for October, we're definitely going to be reviewing a couple horror movies, so stay tuned for that
Yes.
because I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, maybe Nick will like put on a costume or something. But
I have something planned. I have something planned. So
okay,
we will get to that point when we get to it. But yeah.
that's gonna do it for episode 6 of the Light Skinema podcast. Um,
All right. We need sleep.
yeah. Good night.